In my opinion, this is one of the best drivers Ping have ever created. The Ping G425 Max driver. I actually had this in the bag for quite a while. Forgiving, looks great. Not bad on distance. One criticism, it sounds awful. But right now you can pick up a brand new one of these in a retail store for about £350. Much cheaper than when it first came out. And on the other hand, you've got this, the new offering from Ping, the G430 Max. This right now in retail, brand new, is pretty much £470. There's a £120 price difference between these two clubs. There's gonna be one thing for sure, because I've tested both these clubs already. There is one massive difference between these two clubs, which I will come on to, but what does the performance look like? How different are these two drivers? And is it worth saving a bit more and actually getting one of the best drivers Ping have ever made, or is there a vast improvement? So for this experiment, I'm going to use the same shaft, which is a Tensai X-Stiff shaft, the shaft I used in this driver. 9 degrees both head, both in neutral weight setting, so the weight right at the back here. This driver has seen some rounds of golf from me, to be honest. There's some war wounds on this driver. The reason why I liked it so much, I think it looks fantastic, really sleek. I love this kind of matte crown. The turbulator's a bit of a gimmick, but not too offensive. If anything, it frames up the golf ball quite nicely. And as much as this driver is not the longest driver I've ever tested, it's never claimed to be that, but the Max, the forgiveness model in this driver is supposed to be and is incredible, even in my experience. So let's hit a bunch of shots with this first, the G425, before moving on to G430 in the same shaft as I said. This is like a bit of a rekindled love. Like I said, I had this driver in the bag for so long, and I must admit I was a huge fan, but I was seeking a bit more distance while I took it out more recently. Ironically, I'm going for more forgiveness again now, but let's hit a bunch of shots with the G425 to kick things off. That wasn't hit unbelievable for an opening tee shot. A little bit lower from the heel, but that's kind of showing a bit of its forgiveness level. Like, you can just slightly misstrike it and it still finds the middle. The one thing, which I definitely will come on to in a bit, is the sound. As much as I love this driver, it turns heads. If you're on the driving range or you're hitting this driver in close proximity to someone, there's like, what was that? It's not quite as loud as like the old Nike Sasquatch, the square one, but it's got a real high-pitched crack to it. I say a crack, it's more like a donk, really. Right, so a few more with this. Like, none of these at the moment are that bad. Like, they're all down there, kind of finding fairway, if not just a little tiny bit off. I've not quite really hit one yet. I don't feel like I've absolutely struck. The distance is quite a bit shorter than what I'd normally see. I feel like the lower strike shots definitely are more rewarded. That wasn't a great strike and it's still down the fairway, but there's a bit on this driver higher on the head that definitely activates more distance. I've not quite hit it yet. I need to find that sweet spot. I suppose this is a good kind of test, really. Like, on a golf course, you don't always hit the middle of the driver face. You hit off the bottom, off the heel, off the toe, a little bit more off the centred. It's like some of these results are actually what I'd probably find myself doing on the golf course a little bit more. But I just know there's a little bit more speed in this driver. That's a bit more like it. That's just that little bit higher on the strike, on the face. Yeah, and straight away we're seeing more realistic distances. That was better. Right, see if we can finish this batch of shots with that same strike location. It'd be interesting though, because to see if I don't quite hit it all on the face, and we do something similar with the G430, like what's the actual outcome? How much of a difference drop off is it? I'm just, like I said, I know there's more speed in this driver. I've not quite unlocked it on these first few shots. That higher strike definitely helps. It's a bit more like it. Straight down the middle. It's a little bit spinny again. It's a fairway finder, it is. They're just not, it's funny actually, because I've been using a different driver for the last few months. This kind of, I don't know, it feels a bit harder to swing fast. And that was my big complaint with this driver. Like, average speed at the moment for me, swinging like I've been using a Cobra Dark Speed, has been way over 110 miles per hour, like 112, 113 on occasions. With this, it's dropped below 110 again. It feels like a big, I don't know, big head to move fast. It's actually quite interesting how much different it actually feels compared to the driver I've been using currently. And I had this in the bag for so long. But what will be interesting is testing it against the G430, see if that's actually the case, or whether I can get a little bit more speed out of that head design. Is that the sweet spot? Felt it. Yeah, we're seeing a little bit more distance out of that one. That was a little bit more of a better strike. Right, that's all the testing with the G425. A nice walk down memory lane. What I saw there was not my best strikes, but a lot of shots finding the fairway. Not huge distances, but straight and accurate. Let's see how it compares against the G430. Okay, so I've swapped the heads around. I've stuck with the same shaft. Same loft setting, 9 degrees. The weight in the back, which again is something that Ping have only introduced fairly recently. That's in the middle, neutral setting. It's funny actually, when I look at this aesthetically, certainly compared to the G425, I feel like they've maybe ruined it a little bit. I love how sleek and almost sophisticated the G425 was, just with the black, silver, a little bit of white, where now they've introduced these kind of more greeny yellow accents. I feel like on the top it's got a little bit more messy and a bit more complicated. I still love the matte finish, I think that's gorgeous. And a definitely slightly slimmer face profile. From bottom to top it's a little bit slimmer, but still completely fills you with confidence on the actual head shape itself. Big footprint behind the golf ball. Still we see the turbulators on top. The one big standout, and you might pick it up on video, and we'll see if it's the same, hitting it literally head to head, is I know the sound of this driver is much more satisfying. They've improved the sound vastly. I feel like keep the same look as the last one, but with this sound, and you've got a real winning formula. But what does the performance look like? So not a bad start, little tiny pull up the left, but the sound, so different. It's a much more muted, still loud, don't get me wrong, but it's so much more muted and satisfying. Good opening tee shot, you take that. Again, wasn't struck absolutely in the middle, but a decent enough result. That was a good one. A little bit too much fade, but again, middle of the fairway, a little bit more distance out of that as well, which is good to see. I'm testing it on a couple of things, kind of feel, sound is a big one. They very much link together. Looks, we've already kind of discussed that, but then also forgiveness level, distance, dispersion. We're looking at all those factors because, again, with this driver, the 430 Max, it is really offering the most forgiveness. They've also got the Max 10K version, which is the really super forgiving driver. But this is the kind of more, I don't know, this is the driver for many more different types of golfers, from kind of lower handicappers all the way up to middle and high handicappers. I mean, the 10K also does cater for a lot of golfers, but it's a very different footprint behind the golf ball. Oh, that's nice. That's the best one we've hit. straight, long, felt fantastic, really solid. I do feel like, whether it's the head design or the shape or it just being a slightly lower profile, I do feel like I can swing this driver a little bit faster, and actually the stats are proving that as well. Not much faster, but it's given me a little bit more freedom to get a touch more speed through the ball. Another okay one. Yeah, that was a fraction too much fade, but still, it's not dead, is it? Like right side of the fairway, maybe just off, but it's not disastrous. It's a nice one. Yeah, that had loads of really strong characteristics then. Felt good, sounded good, good performance. A little bit high and spinny, but that's what's helping keeping it straight. Like it's not a super low spin bomber, but it's an absolute fairway finder. Right, let's go one more. No, keep that one in, but one more. Okay, this is really interesting actually. At the batch of shots I hit with both drivers, same shaft, I'm going to be honest, there's no difference whatsoever on performance. You look at a few things, carry distance. Now, listen, that's not the longest carry I'm going to see with a driver, I know it's not. 263 yards on average, 280 yards pretty much on average total distance. 3,000 spin, a little bit too much spin for me, however, when you look at actually finding a fairway, a little bit extra spin is not the worst thing in the world. Launch angle pretty much identical, ball speed pretty much identical. I was swinging the G430 just a fraction faster, like half a mile per hour faster. Look at dispersion, that's the big one for me. Like both drivers there are offering tremendous dispersion from right to left. Like they are a lot of shots are finding fairway, if not almost all of them are finding fairway, which is great to see. Distance-wise from front to back again, the long ones were decent, the short ones wasn't the massive drop-off. Like you could subtract 10 yards for the short ones, add 10 yards for the long ones. And obviously that's where you get the 263 carry distance on the average. It's mad, crazy. For me, the only difference is looks and sound, and that's down to you guys if you want to spend an extra £120 for a driver that sounds better but doesn't look as good, or you stick with the one that's looks a lot better but sounds a little bit louder. Guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out loads more HIT videos, and we'll see you soon.